All right, ladies and gentlemen,
welcome back.
It's Friday.
Absolutely. It's time for the annual tradition, Travis and Jon Show. You guys know what time it is.
Best part of the weekend.
Absolutely.
Curl up, talk sports, and make some money.
Absolutely. That's what we do best over here. And we got a great slate planned for you guys tonight with a lot of fun things to talk about and a lot of fun things to win some money on. So
absolutely.
We'll have a pretty normal slate for you guys playing tonight. We'll have our MLB, NFL, and obviously NBA kind of just non-existent for the moment. Be back in about a month and a half or so. So excited for that to come back as well.
Slow grind, unfortunately.
Yeah. But in the meantime, football is officially back. We're coming into week 2. Already started week 2, actually, last night, which we'll get into here in a few. But we also are just so excited to be back in the football season and do what we do best.
Absolutely. Already up a lot more units than we were in baseball, let's say that.
Without a doubt. We were so excited doing research and everything all off season for this NFL season. So make sure you stay tuned if you want to win some money and learn some things about football.
Absolutely.
All right, we can get started as normal, though, with MLB. We obviously have our money line breakdown for you guys as usual for the weekend and some home run picks. And then we'll talk a little bit of baseball afterwards. All right. Let's pull up FanDuel, see what some lines looking like.
Make some money.
Absolutely. I think we have a pretty decent slate tonight. All right, we do. Some good pitchers on round 2. All right, so first up on the slates, Phillies and Mets. Aaron Nola on the mound versus Quintana. Phillies are sitting at the favorites, as on paper they usually are. But when it comes to performance, they've slowed down a lot since the hot start to the season they had.
Absolutely. Definitely cooled down a lot.
Yeah, but I will say Kyle Schwarber is on a little bit of a run right now. I think like 10 plus home runs in the last 2 weeks. 9 straight games with a hit. So he's finding his rhythm. So that's always nice to see. If I had to lean one way or the other, I'd roll the Phillies just due to the hot hand and Schwarber. Obviously, still a good lineup behind him and Aaron Nola, one of their best pitchers on mound.
I like that.
All right. That brings us to Orioles and Tigers. Zach Eflin versus Brisket. I love my Orioles, man. I do. Zach Eflin was a pickup they had at the trade deadline. He's been okay. Obviously, their bats are hit or miss. They're either all on or they're all off, it seems like. But they definitely have the better players on paper. Tigers have been a sneaky team lately. But I just don't know if I'd trust Brisket on mound. If I had to choose, I would go, obviously, Baltimore.
Yeah, I like to lean Orioles, but obviously the Tigers are a team you don't want to sleep on either.
Absolutely. So what do you think we should do?
That's probably one I'll stay away from.
All right. Sounds good. That'll bring us to the Royals and Pirates. Now, I know you may have some insight into this. You like the home team tonight. Or the away team, excuse me.
Man, I always like the Royals. They got good bats. They got Marshall on mound. I don't know. The lines are just throwing me for a loop here.
Yeah, essentially a pick-me between the Royals and Pirates. Neither team with a great pitcher on mound. Luis Ortiz for the Pirates. Neither guys are big strikeout guys. And obviously some big bats in each lineup. It's a game that could probably go either way, essentially.
Yeah, I think it's just because the Royals have been so inconsistent lately.
Yeah.
Probably another one will fade.
Yeah. Just too much risk there to put in a parlay. Had to be the one leg to ruin something great. That'll bring us to Nationals and Marlins. DJ Hurz versus Edward Cabrera. Decent pitchers. And Nationals sitting as a favorite as they don't do very often. But they have my guy over there. We haven't really talked about him on the show yet, but the second overall pick this year, Mr. Dylan Cruz, teammate of Paul Skeet, is being called up over there in Washington. He's had a really good start to his career.
Absolutely. Already had some home runs.
Already won me some money.
Doing his thing.
Absolutely. I don't believe he's playing tonight, though. So it's always a hit for the Nationals, but this one is confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I had to ride pitchers, I would go DJ Hurz. I actually have him in some other parlays that I have on the slate tonight. So decent little matchup for him. That's probably why the Nationals are sitting as favorites.
So we're going to ride Nationals.
All right. I'm here for it. That'll bring us to the Boston and New York.
Good old rival.
Absolutely. Old time. Clark Schmidt on the mound going up against Fitz. Yankees sitting at the favorites. We're usually praising a guy like Aaron Judge with the Yankees and always putting our money behind him, but lately it hasn't been so easy. He's on a little bit of a cold streak. 14 straight games now, I believe, after last night without a home run.
Yeah, I was about to say, for most players, 14 games isn't bad.
Yeah.
But
a guy,
for Aaron Judge, 14 is a lot of games.
Yeah, and he was on a historical pace. On pace to break his home run record in a season, obviously on an MVP tour. And obviously that's come into a little bit of question as of late. If he can get hot again and kind of secure that spot back, but if he stays cold, things could change.
Exactly.
There's still a lot of games left. But if I had to ride one way, I don't know. The Red Sox do have the Yankees' number. Devers is always a monster up against New York. I don't know. What do you think?
I like the Yankees, but it definitely throws me for a loop in this rivalry.
Think they're safe enough to throw on here?
I'd like to think so.
All right, we can ride Yankees. That'll bring us to Cardinals and Blue Jays. Kevin Gossman and Eric Fed, two decent pitchers on the mound. Both could have big nights. This could be a game without a lot of scoring. And Blue Jays sitting at the favorites. This is a game I would prefer to not, if I'm being honest. The Blue Jays have seemed to always be one of my kryptonites and ruin a lot of parlays for me.
Absolutely. Definitely with these pitchers on mound, a game that could go either way.
Yeah. So I think I'm okay shying away from this one.
That's fine. Brings us to the Rays and Guardians.
Absolutely. Now this one I like. Tanner Beebe on the mound for the Guardians. One of those teams that when they're hot, they're hot. And they've played well as of late. Sitting at the minus 184 favorites on FanDuel. Tampa Bay, Zach Little on the mound. Not a terrible pitcher, but if I'm writing pitching and batting matchups, I'm going Cleveland all day.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So we can ride Cleveland money line. I'm okay with that. That'll bring us to Dodgers and Braves. Really good matchup on paper, but on the mound, not so much. I will say, though, Spencer Schwellenbach has been really good this year as a young guy for Atlanta. And I feel like he's been one of their better pitchers. And obviously, Knack on the mound for the Dodgers, not the most intriguing name out there, especially in LA. This is one I'm tossed up on as well. If I had to choose one way or the other, I would probably ride Braves, just due to the better pitcher on the mound. But both of these teams have sold me many of times.
Yeah, this is definitely a pygmy. Knack is the weakest of their bunch over in LA. And like you said, Schwellenbach's been really good for the Braves. So this is a really scary game when it comes to betting. So one will probably fade.
Absolutely. Tonight. Some good potential for some big bats in that game, though. That'll bring us to Oakland and Chicago. Now, we know who the White Sox are. They're the worst team in baseball. No questions about it.
Absolutely.
But look who's home mound. And that's the only thing that scares me. Garrett Crochet is playing tonight. Despite the White Sox being in pure poverty, Garrett Crochet has been the one bright spot they've had. Obviously, Luis Robert as well. But when it comes to pitching and on the mound, he is their guy. And that's the only reason this game scares me a little bit. Any other time, if Garrett Crochet wasn't on mound, I'm slamming Athletics. I'm slamming whoever's playing Chicago. But Crochet throws me some worry tonight.
I definitely get that. The Athletics of the crop in the MLB are also not the very best. So, this is a game the White Sox could finally flip the script.
For sure. I'm okay staying away. Just not an intriguing matchup. And that'll bring us to Reds Twins. And unfortunately, I don't have much question in this one. Julian Aguirre on mound for Cincinnati. Not a name, not a household name that we know real well. But the Twins have their ace pitcher, one of the best pitchers in baseball on mound, and Bailey over. And he may eat tonight. As much as it pains me to bet against the Reds, it's something that's smart to do this season. And with this matchup, I think it's an easy choice.
Pain.
It is pain, without a doubt. All right, are you cool? Are you cool with that? What do you think?
We can add it. It's painful.
Bailey over. Minnesota Twins money line. I about said Bailey over is money line.
Hey, if he had one,
Hey,
we're on it.
See? All right, Chicago Cubs, Colorado Rockies. Javier Assad going up against Austin Gomber. Javier Assad and Gomber, neither guy are big strikeout guys. You said they are playing in Colorado tonight.
Yeah.
So obviously, we know how things can get in Colorado when it comes
that
to balls.
elevation can be crazy.
Yeah. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're the only team or only game in double digits tonight on the over-under. Yeah, at 10.5. So, obviously, everybody knows some runs can be scored. Yeah. This is a game that's a little terrifying. If you had to look on paper, you'd probably obviously go Chicago Cubs, who are sitting at the favorites tonight. Assad on mound. But we know how Colorado can get in Colorado. Them boys in Tovar and Taglia and all them guys in Colorado, McMahon and Doyle, they can hit the ball out of the park at any given time. So this is also another one that I'm okay not putting on there.
100%. Definitely one that scares me.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we talked pre-show about some boys in Colorado that can hit a yard tonight.
Yeah, for sure. All right. That'll bring us to Astros and Angels. Another decently lopsided matchup on the money line side of things. Yusei Kikuchi on mound for the Astros. One of the best lefties in baseball. Acquired from the Blue Jays at the trade deadline. Has been great. And we got Spaghetti's cousin pitching for the Angels.
My favorite pitcher in the league.
I think this one's easy. I think Kikuchi has the better matchup. He's the better pitcher. They have the better bats. I'm riding Astros.
100%.
Okay, cool. That'll bring us to Brewers and Diamondbacks. Freddie Peralta and Rodriguez.
Bit of a scary matchup here.
Yeah. I'm not so sure where I lean with this one. I know the Diamondbacks have been one of the better scoring teams in baseball since the All-Star break. They've had multiple games cranking 10, 15 runs, multiple home runs. When their bats are hot, they're insanely dangerous. Yeah. We seen that last year, them turn it up around this time of year. Right before playoff time, they made a run to the World Series. I mean, we know what these guys can do.
Yeah.
And going up against the Brewers, obviously, who have been one of the steadier teams this year, can get hot. But a matchup where if I had to pick, I would probably lean Arizona. But also one where they don't have the better pitcher on mound, so it's scary as well.
Exactly. Peralta is scary. Probably one I'll fade.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. This next one I'm so excited for.
It is a topic
beyond excited for. Rangers and Mariners. And there's no question in my mind.
I was about to say, we got a side to lean tonight.
No way I'm betting against Jacob deGrom in his first game back this season after Tommy John surgery. Jacob deGrom, when healthy, is the best pitcher in baseball. I'm sorry, I love you, Shohei Ohtani. I love you, Corbin Burns and Dylan Cease and all these guys. But Jacob deGrom is the cream of the crop at pitching when he's healthy. And if he comes back ready to play tonight, I think he can make a statement with a shutout in his first game. I'm sorry.
We're here for it.
Yeah, I'm riding the Rangers all day. And then brings us to Padres and Giants. This is a game, obviously, on the lines. It's the lowest total of the night on the over-under, and it's for very good reason.
Cease and Webb.
This matchup could go crazy.
Yeah.
This is one I don't know. It scares me in every which way. Both pitchers are just absolutely fantastic. Best pitchers on their team. This is a matchup I might tune into tonight. Just because, nothing else on the football is not on. But I don't know if I can pick a side. I really don't.
If you're looking for batting average, you go over to the Padres. If you're looking for 6 home runs in one game, and I feel like I get 6 home run notifications a night, the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah. But Dylan Cease, man.
Exactly. This game's scary. We'll probably wrap up with a 7-leg because this game, it could finish 1-0.
Yeah. No questions asked. Definitely.
In extra innings.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm totally okay not adding it to the money line. This will be a game that I may bet on, though. This could be a crazy game later tonight to keep an eye on. 10-16 game. Two really good pitchers. Big bats on both sides. Tatis finally making his statement since he returned with a homer. This could be a really good matchup. But yes, I'm cool rounding this out at 7.
Beautiful.
We can give them a quick rundown back on it if we want to go back and forth. I'll start it off with the Philadelphia Phillies.
The Washington Nationals.
Go New York Yankees.
Cleveland Guardians.
The Minnesota Twins.
The Houston Astros.
And rounding it out with the return of the best pitcher in baseball, Jacob deGrom, the Texas Rangers.
Sitting at plus 2,451. Lock it in. Let's cash in it all. Make a bag here for the weekend.
Slammed it. Already placed. We ready to go. 5-6 minutes to spare. We got them out. Now let's get these home run picks out quick before these games get rolling.
About to say absolute teaser. We're not done yet. We got more to talk about. More bets to be placed.
Absolutely.
On all categories of
For
every
sure.
sport that's going on this weekend.
Absolutely.
Speaking of sports going on this weekend.
Which one are you talking about? It's a big weekend. We got football and we got the return of the Sugar Show.
UFC 306
Absolutely.
here. We've been texting for weeks
Yeah,
about
I got my
306.
Sugar Sean merch. You know I'm putting it on tomorrow.
And we got to also put them onto our bets.
Absolutely. But we can get to that. We got to get these home run picks out quick for these games to get rolling.
Absolutely. Let's lock in.
All right. We'll go 2 and 2. My 2 favorites, Sean's 2 favorites. We'll bounce off each other real quick.
I can go ahead and start off if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
It's technically one of the first games. I mean, obviously, if you start at 6:41 here. Schwarber bomb.
Absolutely.
Almost a nightly thing here. Happens almost every Friday show we got, so we're running it back for a reason.
For sure.
Kyle Schwarber for a Schwarber bomb, game 1.
All right. My first favorite of the night, also a game starting here in about 10 minutes, 6:46 p.m. I'm going to a Mr. Jake Berger, going back to the good old things. Jake Berger is a guy that, according to per at-bat statistics, is so overdue. He had a very hot streak for a few months, and obviously going up against a guy I talked about earlier, DJ Hurst. But if anybody's going to crank one for Miami tonight, it's going to be Jake Berger.
Absolutely. Love that. Then we're going back to a game we talked about being super lopsided, and it's for a reason. The Astros and Angels, and I'm going Yordan Alvarez.
Love it.
Almost always do. Not talked about enough. Right there with all the home run leaders sitting at plus 215 tonight.
Absolutely. Love that. All right, and I'm going to round out our home run picks with another guy who's been very hot as of late, another guy who has a better matchup tonight. I'm going over to Minnesota, facing Aguilar for the Reds. Obviously, a guy we don't trust too much.
He's sitting at almost a 6 ERA right now. That has to be said for this game.
Yeah, unfortunately. I'm going with the Twins' hottest hitter right now, Mr. Matt Wallner. He's been fantastic the last few weeks. He's been cranking off a lot of bombs.
Very much so do.
Kind of taking over the spotlight for the batting lineup in Minnesota. So I'm riding him tonight with the pitching matchup and obviously just the amount of runs that could be scored. All right.
That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. You want more analysis on those picks? Obviously, we don't have time to give all that out right now. Go subscribe to our Winnable. WINIBLE.com/Travis Jon Show. We give out free daily picks. And obviously analysis behind everything that we talk about and post.
Absolutely. If you miss anything we post, if we're talking about live on the show, if you want to see Sunday NFL bets, you want to see UFC bets, you want any bets that you don't see, WINIBLE.com/Travis Jon Show.
Absolutely. Bang, bang, bang. Got them all out before the start of the games. Everybody strap in. Baseball's about to get kicked off for tonight. And prepare for the beautiful weekend we have ahead of football.
Absolutely.
So excited. We'll get into that here in a few. For now, I guess we can kind of talk just a little bit quickly. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but we can talk a little bit about baseball, some of the things going on around the league. Right now, we're ramping up for postseason. We're about the last month and a half or so of baseball play before we really get into interesting things and matchups we all are excited to see. But a few key things we want to talk about. We mentioned this a little bit earlier, but the downfall of Aaron Judge lately has been hard to watch.
Absolutely.
And obviously, it's just a little 2-3 week stretch. He's human, just like everybody else. You can be as hot as you want, but eventually you're going to come back down to planet Earth, and that's what's happening to Judge right now. I do want to mention, though, just with this 13-game skid, he is still sitting at number 1 in home run leaders by 4 over Shohei Ohtani. So if that tells you the kind of season this man was having, it's what we're not accustomed to seeing. We see all kinds of guys in the league go more than 13 games without hitting a home run, and nobody bats an eye.
I was about to say that the whole fact that we're having this conversation is how astronomical Aaron Judge himself is.
Without a doubt.
14 days and we're acting like we haven't had water.
Yeah.
14 days for anybody else in the MLB is regular.
Everything, yeah.
Aaron Judge on 14 days is one of his coldest streaks.
Yeah.
That's a accolade that we're having this conversation in itself.
It's crazy, but it just goes to show the kind of talent this man possesses.
Absolutely.
Eventually he's going to have to get back on track. The Yankees are obviously primed for a postseason run with the season they've had, looking really well. And he'll be back eventually,
Yeah.
We don't have to worry. But I do also want to talk about something. I know we mentioned it again a little bit earlier, but I really want to acknowledge the fact of DeGrom's return. I'm so beyond excited. The guy is coming off Tommy John surgery, which we know is the most devastating thing pitchers can deal with.
Yeah.
I'm so interested to see what he's going to do. He's going up against the Mariners tonight, who obviously have been one of the worst hitting teams against right-handed pitchers all year long. He couldn't be set up for more success tonight to make a crazy return. I'm excited to see it.
Absolutely. The bats should be behind him, and if we see the World Series Rangers we saw last season, this could be scary.
Without a doubt. It's going to be fun to watch. Another thing, I know we just talked about Judge, but what happens if this skid stays? Now, I'm asking this for award purposes. The AL has many good players, but none other than Aaron Judge, we have Mr. Bobby Witt Jr., who has been so good this season, having a career year. What happens if Judge stays cold and Bobby Witt gets hot? Can we talk about a Bobby Witt AL MVP conversation? I mean, Aaron Judge had this by miles, I know that, but this little skid could hurt.
There's absolutely conversation that needs to be had because, obviously we were just talking about how crazy Aaron Judge himself is, but like you said, there's many stats to baseball, and home runs aren't the only thing.
Right.
And if you're within a few home runs, then you got the stolen bases, you got the batting average, more extra bases, etc.
Right.
It may come down to it.
Right. Now, I will say Bobby Witt's only sitting at 30 home runs on the year, but the Kansas City Royals are sitting at 80 and 67, and they've been so good. And Bobby Witt's batting average has led the league almost the entire year, sitting at 3.33 right now, and making an impact outside of hitting home runs. We know he can get the ball out of the park. I've said this multiple times, but the dude was 5 inches away from winning the home run derby this year, so we know he can hit the ball.
This is great. This is a painful conversation because it can be had in every sport, but if we were talking the actual definition of the award and when it comes to most valuable to their team, it's absolutely Bobby Witt.
100%.
Aaron Judge is great, and you can't take nothing away from Aaron Judge. So you can't take his home runs away at all.
Yeah.
But you put him on any other team or whatever, he's sitting the same amount of home runs, not winning games.
Yeah.
He's going for 2 home runs. The Yankees will still lose.
Right.
Jordan Alvarez isn't the deciding factor for the Astros. He's hitting a lot of home runs. Bobby Witt, you take him off the Royals, they're a completely different squad.
Oh, without a doubt. He's by miles the best player on that team and will be for the next 10 years. We know he signed that big contract just a year ago, and they're looking to really build around this guy, and he's showing why.
Exactly.
To see him win an MVP at this young of an age would just be absolutely crazy. Who could imagine him taking over Aaron Judge in the last 2 months of the season? But we could see it happen, right in front of us. Now, as much as we talked about baseball around the league, we are Cincinnati Reds supporters over here, and we always have to talk about them at some point in this segment before we move on. Last 10 games, we're sitting at 6-4. So, kind of at the same mid we've been. We're at 71 and 77 on the season, currently sitting 4th in the Central Division, 14 games behind the leaders, and now 5 games behind the Cubs and 4 behind the Cardinals.
Yeah. Pain.
Very much so.
Definitely pain.
We've talked obviously every week about the Reds this year, and at some points we've had our bright spots. We were sitting at third, maybe 2 games back from second in the division. We know the Brewers have kind of held steady for most of the year at that top spot, but now we're sitting just 1 game ahead of the Pirates for the final spot in the division. And man, does it hurt!
Yeah.
A playoff push doesn't look likely. Another disappointing year, more likely under 500. And where does the blame start? Is it David Bell? Is it, our trainers? Is it our players? Is it our pitchers? Is it our hitters? Where does it go,
I think there's a lot of fingers to be pointed in many directions. And that's the hard part about being a Reds fan, because you can't have sole blame on one person or one section of the organization for all of this.
Right.
You look at our lineup, and comparatively to a lot of the teams that are better than us, we're a really good lineup.
Without a doubt.
We're better than half the teams that are better than us.
Without a doubt.
But we can't put anything together. When we have a good pitching night, we have no bats.
Right.
When we have bats, we can't have a closing pitcher, or it's a 12-11 game.
Right.
Like we've talked every week, we either put up 0 runs or we're putting up 11. There's no in between. David Bell, finally, after we put up 12 runs, with multiple seasons of changing up the lineup, but after finally putting up 12 runs, he stuck to the same lineup for a couple of games. So that was one bright spot to be had, but
right.
We've had the same pitching woes for 4 or 5 seasons. No moves were made at the deadline.
Absolutely.
Yes, we got off of a contract, but that's not a win now move.
Right.
That's not a win in the next 2 to 3 years, or 2 to 3 year move.
Right.
Obviously we've talked and we have youth and potential. That's something we can look forward to, but it's not going to matter if we have no pitching help.
You're absolutely right. I will say the pitching has been attended to a little bit the last few years. We've obviously seen the come up of rookie, not sensation, but could be, and Mr. Rhett Lauder. Had a great 2 games so far. Has shown why he should have been called up. And we still have the guy we just drafted out of Wake Forest, the number 2 overall pick, and Chase Burns sitting down in the farming system. So we know that's a guy that throws, 98 to 102. A guy that throws heaters. We still have Hunter Green. So in a rotation for the next few years, those top 3 look decent. Obviously we have 5 pitchers and bullpens and everything else that goes with it. But knowing that we have a decent trio of starters is something to look forward to behind, obviously, the bats. And that's our brightest spot on the team. Somewhere you can't put the blame. Yes, we've had our ups and downs when it comes to hitting the ball and scoring runs, like we mentioned and you just mentioned, but we know what they're capable of, and we know what they can do with the right, training and development.
Yeah.
And when we get Matt McClain back and we fill out this lineup and get Reese Hines to not just hit for power but contact and can get him back in the lineup, we could be in a good spot if David Bell can take control of things and not do what he's been doing.
Exactly. Ellie De La Cruz is 20-plus stolen bases ahead of the next person.
That has been all year.
And is still struggling to get on base.
Yeah.
So imagine what he'd do at almost a 300 average.
Insane numbers. We could 100-plus stolen bases with ease.
It'd be historic.
Yeah.
It's already historic pace.
Yeah.
Let alone if he had the average to go with it.
Absolutely. And I feel like it'll come. I feel like right now we need to focus on keeping this team together. The MLB offseason, it's a very interesting thing compared to most other sports. There's a lot of different things that go into contract negotiations and all that. We have
there's 150 layers. There's arbitration. There's certain age restrictions.
Absolutely.
You got obviously AAA, AA, single A, etc. Farm leagues.
Right.
Scouting to go through.
Right.
Obviously, there's many layers, as many sports have, but it's painful for Reds fans because there's a lot of things to look at. There's different batting lineups every night.
Right.
There's call-ups and call-downs that come into question. It's just definitely been a stressful couple of seasons here.
Yeah, unfortunately. So the focus right now should be on finishing out this season strong and focusing on keeping this group together. Yeah. I don't think we necessarily have to make a splash in free agency. It'd be cool depending on what the group looks like. I know Pete Alonso could be creeping up on free agency and a couple other big names that could be out there, but I think our main focus right now is keeping this core together, not losing people to arbitration or anything like that, and developing these guys and
Yeah.
keeping going what we've got going. We've shown steady improvement each year, and I think that'll continue.
Let's hope for the best.
Absolutely. So shout out Reds fans. Don't give up on us too much yet. Give us a few years, and if you ever played any video games like MLB The Show or anything, it takes a couple years to get these guys developed.
Absolutely. I need to see if my Reds World Series bets crashed yet or not.
Should almost, yeah, probably.
They still got a cash out on there. I'm slamming it.
Facts. But all right, anything else baseball we
Gary Carpenter home run. Way to get the night started.
Did he hit one?
He
I didn't
did.
have him on nothing.
Neither did I, but I've seen him on a lot of people's.
Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah, Reds World Series. Plays February 24th.
Day. Is there no cash out?
Not right now.
Yeah, I didn't.
They know.
So, unfortunately.
Let me try and read the selection. I guarantee you, it's not even available.
Dang.
Swiped it off there.
Yeah, the mods were too crazy. They couldn't even have it on there no more. All right. I think that's enough baseball for the moment. And we can get into what I said we love the most in NFL. We have some few things planned for tonight. We obviously are going to start it off with the recap and talk about the kickoff game of the week in Thursday Night Football. We're going to talk about some of our favorite bets later when it comes to money lines and anytime touchdowns for the weekend. And we'll cap it off with our annual Travis and Jon Show 1v1 fantasy football draft.
Absolutely.
So super excited to get into that. All right. Thursday Night Football.
Bills and Dolphins.
Absolutely. What a game. There's a few things we can talk about. There's a few things I want to talk about. Obviously, we can just to kind of get into the flow of this. But first things first, we obviously have to acknowledge probably the biggest talk of the night last night before we get into any game breakdown, and that's the health of Tua Tagovailoa. And it's a scary situation. This is kind of somewhat similar to what we saw happen to Andrew Luck, but he was just smart enough to get out, and that's what scared me with Tua. As good of a player as he's been, and as painful as it would be for the Miami Dolphins franchise to lose a young franchise quarterback like Tua, I just think when it comes to being smart and thinking about the life you have ahead, it's smarter to get out. I kind of want to quote what Antonio Pierce said that he would give him the recommendation of. He told him, he said, you're going to live longer than you're going to play football. And you have to realize that. Football is not going to be your entire life.
Yeah, Mike McDaniels told him, I guess, that he's the quarterback of your family.
Yeah.
Or the starting quarterback of your family.
Yeah.
So it's very scary. As we saw 2 seasons ago, his hands had some freaky movements, etc. And I mean, certain brain doctors have said that, I mean, that's a extremely scary sign.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 concussion in itself is scary.
Now
Having
3.
Yeah, 3 extremely terrifying ones is another story to be had.
Right. And I don't mean to get into the graphic part of things, but if you were watching last night or any of the clips you've seen of what happens when Tua goes down like that, it's honestly terrifying. And it's an instant reaction. And I've noticed that very quick. It didn't take him coming down and hitting the ground for it to happen. He started off contact from the hit by DeMar Hamlin. And that's just not good. You're young, man. You're, 24, 25, 26, somewhere around that area.
Starting quarterback. You got to slide.
Yeah. I mean,
protect yourself.
Yeah, at this point, it's not about football. It's about your livelihood. And you don't want to be one of those guys that have problems after football. You don't want this to ruin your life.
We see daily what Antonio Brown is doing and saying.
Unfortunately.
Let alone,
right?
What things can turn into.
Right. And I know he's a guy that's not talked about a lot, but we seen what was going on with Antonio Cali back in the Colts days, and he had a lot of incidents similar to this when it came to concussions, and was a guy that was being concussed 1-2 times a year, and he got out. And you see now, obviously, nobody talks about him, but he's okay. He's living a normal life, and that's what it's about after football is being able to live your life outside.
Yeah.
So prayers up for Tua, man. Hope everything's okay. Obviously, the decision will ultimately be up to him and his family, but whatever he does, I wish the man best of luck.
Yeah.
All right, enough of the sob stories. We can get into some breakdown, talk some football. It was a very interesting game, and I will say a very disappointing game, especially when it came to the betting side of things.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Tua Tagovailoa was on a lot of people's parlays, and when it came to the yards and passing touchdowns, and the biggest talk of the night, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, that offense had no motion
at all. It looked early that they were going to be in trouble. Obviously, their second drive of the game looked okay, coming off the H-hand receiving touchdown, got down in the red zone. But I don't think another drive after that did much of anything. Tua Tagovailoa before the injury threw 3 picks. A pick 6 was not looking the greatest, and the Bills dominated. There's no other way to put it. The Bills' defense was on par last night. Josh Allen was doing his thing in the pass game, and it just didn't look good for Miami.
Yeah, 3 rushing touchdowns, and Josh Allen still didn't eclipse 200 yards because he didn't need to.
Yeah, a couple of disappointing things last night. Yeah, when it came to moving the ball and stats, it was very, very disappointing. I think Josh Allen, with 170-some passing yards, 3 rushing yards, crazy work, and James Cook scored 3 touchdowns. So, essentially, the only profit you come out of on that game, unless you place the straight Buffalo Bills underdog money line, which we also called on the Facebook last night, was James Cook 2 or 3 plus touchdowns.
Yeah.
Because outside of him, I think the only person that got in was Achane.
Yeah.
I painfully was watching Jalen Waddle get stopped on the 1 yard line. Had him on a couple slips that would have been cool.
That was painful.
Yeah, but just not a fun game to watch. I will say.
Yeah, no offense, which never makes for much entertainment. And then obviously the injury of a starting quarterback for an aspiring franchise doesn't help either.
Yeah.
So a lot of red flags last night, a lot of things that made it not very entertaining.
Yeah. Something else I want to talk about. The Bills' offense and the involvement of Keon Coleman. And it's been something that's been grinding my gears. Week 1, he got a few targets, okay? You know, he got a couple of jump balls. Josh Allen threw him up. He missed them. It's whatever. He's a rookie. If he misses them, it's on him. He's getting the targets. Cool. I'm happy. When he's not getting the targets, I'm not happy. Keon Coleman is a guy I had a lot of stake in this year. I thought he was going to be fantastic. I thought he was going to be the Marvin Harrison of the Bills offense, the guy that gets all the targets. And he's just not. It's been all Khalil Shakur through the first 2 weeks. I think Keon Coleman got maybe 1 target last night, and there were multiple plays that I was watching, and Keon Coleman had room, and he had space, and he was open. But Josh Allen didn't look his way once, and I don't understand. It's irking me to the bone because Keon Coleman can be so good, and he's a guy that's so athletic and made so many crazy plays at Florida State, and just not getting.
I feel like this is an overreaction.
What do you mean? Okay, maybe. Okay, maybe you're right.
Because I completely understand. I want to give merit to it because, like you said, he needs to be the Marvin Harrison of this team. They don't have any other talent. You're Josh Allen. Why does Keon Coleman not have 300 yards by now and 6 touchdowns?
That's a bit.
No,
that's a bit dramatic.
He'd have done the same thing with Gabe Davis. He made Gabe Davis.
It's 2 games. If Gabe Davis had 150 yards and 3 touchdowns in each game, I'd be very, very surprised.
He would have if he had Gabe Davis. Josh Allen made Gabe Davis.
And he hasn't done anything.
I'll put that statement out right now. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I want to give it some merit, but at the same time, I mean, they had no reason to throw the ball last night. Besides the first drive or 2.
I understand.
And I mean, yeah, Josh Allen, he didn't necessarily look his way, but I mean, there was a bunch of dump off routes last night, and I mean, they made easy work with James Cook getting in 3 times. didn't necessarily have to throw it more than 5 yards when they did.
I understand that, but to not even look his way for one jump ball, you can't throw him one 10-yard slant, you can't throw him one 5-yard hitch route, you can't throw him one go route.
Maybe this is why Stephon Diggs was always yelling on the sideline.
Maybe it was,
Maybe
he's not a cancer,
players as an end zone player.
Yeah, maybe he's not a locker room cancer. Maybe Josh Allen's just
since he didn't have to throw it 60-plus yards, he didn't look at Keon. But
annoying.
They had no major reason last night to throw the ball, so I think for now, it's still an overreaction.
Whatever. You want me to give you another overreaction?
Yeah, go ahead.
Something I want to talk about happened this past weekend. Something I actually seen an interview of today. It's something from the weekend slate. Kyler Murray was asked.
Oh my God! I'm glad you're going to bring this up.
Marvin Harrison Jr. And he made a very interesting statement that kind of rocked me for a moment and put me in a few
Coming from
shock.
him, yes, is very strange.
They asked him about how he felt about getting Marvin Harrison Jr. involved, and obviously missing him on what could have been the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had like 2 targets, 1 reception.
Yeah, from 4 yards. Yeah, my fantasy team knows it. My bets know.
So does my fantasy league. I get it. We all know.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk of the town this week. But he told the reporters very confidently that it was not his job to get Marvin Harrison involved. And this comment sent me for a loop. I don't understand any part of that response. I don't get it at all. I understand. You're not the offensive coordinator. I get you don't draw out the plays and you don't do this and that. But when you're playing football and you're the quarterback of a football team, it absolutely is your job to get your wide receivers involved. There's no if, ands, buts, nothing, loops, ways around it. It's just pure facts.
Maybe Marvin Harrison just doesn't play COD with him, and he's upset. I don't know. Kyler Murray's someone you want to love, but he makes it very hard to. You have someone like Marvin Harrison Jr., who's been training for this moment since he came out of the womb. The dude was curling.
Yeah.
The first morning he woke up, was running sprints his 3rd day of being born. Dude's built for this.
He is the
and he
blood
looked his whole direction twice.
He is the blood son of the greatest Indianapolis Colts wide receiver of all time.
A current Gold Jacket Hall of Famer in Canton, Ohio. His dad has a bust made of him. And he got 2 looks.
I don't get it. How do you miss a wide open streaking touchdown down the side of the field for game? If you're
a 6-foot Marvin Harrison Jr.,
you don't miss him. He should be the first look every single play. You need to run routes and formations and plays for MHJ only. No reason James Conner should have more receptions than Marvin Harrison.
Michael Wilson and DeMarcado.
James Conner
had
more receiving yards and receptions than Marvin Harrison.
James Conner
is trash.
Had like 70% of total shares.
I don't get it. I remember watching Red Zone, and even Hansen made a comment about it. James Conner touched the ball every single play on the Cardinals' first 2 full offensive drives.
Oh, yeah,
every single play. What? You couldn't have thought it took one of those to throw Marvin Harrison Jr. a 5-yard slant route? What are they doing? Maybe Cliff Kingsbury wasn't the problem. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm just thrown for a loop.
Yeah,
thrown for a loop. Something else I do want to talk about too, while we get off the complaint train of Marvin Harrison Jr. I know he didn't necessarily have the greatest week 1, but another very big bright spot for a bunch of fantasy owners and football bettors is the snap rate of Mr. Bijan Robinson. Post Arthur Smith era, Bijan Robinson played in 73.6% of snaps last week for the Atlanta Falcons and out-touched Tyler Algier 23-5 or 23-3 or something like that. Yeah.
Because last season it would have been 16-15.
Yeah, that's my point. So I know he didn't get in the end zone. I think he still brought me in about 17 fantasy points, which is fantastic without a touchdown on the night.
Yeah.
And look for him to have a fantastic season. I think once the Atlanta Falcons offense gets it together and kind of starts meshing, maybe it's Kirk Cousins, maybe it's Michael Penix, whatever route they decide to go. I think Bijan's going to get very dangerous, and I think there will be multiple games this year where he scores 2+ touchdowns.
Absolutely. Obviously, a lot of people are worried. They're looking for any kind of red flag possible. It's 1 week. The Steelers' defense is very good.
So is the Saints' defense.
Obviously, I mean, it's going to be a rough
you're
game.
talking about for this
talking
week.
About the Falcons.
We were just giving shout-outs.
No,
I hear you.
Talking about for the Falcons.
I hear you.
But obviously, they looked shaky. Players that did not were Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson.
100%.
Obviously, Bijan had no issue last season, but Kyle Pitts was nowhere to be found the last few seasons. So whether it's Kirk Cousins or Michael Penix, someone's going to be able to open up this offense. They have quarterbacks. That's going to open up things for Bijan Robinson.
Yeah. Now, as much as I hate the Falcons and don't like talking good about them due to them being an in-division rival to my New Orleans Saints,
yes.
I will say they have the pieces to be good. Obviously, coming off week 1, we didn't see much of anything from them, so I hope to see something out of them for the strict purpose that I'm putting every bit of my stake in Bijan Robinson this year when it comes to fantasy football and football betting. So Bijan Robinson's going to be on a slip every single week. I don't care.
Pretty sure I missed out on fantasy this year.
Yeah. No, I did not. I have even like 3 leagues.
I don't think I had a top 3 pick.
That's unfortunate. I think I had 2.
I don't think I had a single top 3 pick this season.
I think I was in 6 leagues, and I have obviously CMC in 1, and I think I have Bijan in 2 or 3. So,
well, ripped your CMC leagues.
Yeah, I picked up George Mason in the only one that I have CMC, so I'm okay.
Jordan Mason's doing the same thing.
Yeah, no, I seen some talks too. Obviously, I don't think it's true at all, just because we know who CMC is. But a lot of people were saying maybe CMC is a system running back. For Jordan Mason to come out and have 150 yards.
Hey, I was gonna bring that up to you, obviously, like off show, and I completely forgot. But I'm really glad you said that because Jordan Mason is making it look easy.
Picked him up in place. That's the only league I have CMC.
Yeah, cooking.
Facts. But yeah, no facts. Obviously, it's not something that's true. It's some BS we can throw in to talk about for a second. But
is it? No.
I will say I do think Jordan Mason is more deserving of this role than Elijah Mitchell, and I know I praise Mitchell a lot, and unfortunately he is out for the season, so it's a hard comparison to make right now. But to see Jordan Mason come in and do what he did in week 1, he looked great.
Yeah.
And I feel like the 49ers are going to lose nothing, even placing CMC, which obviously a report came out earlier. 49ers are mulling placing CMC on the injured reserve, which would automatically put him out at least 4 weeks, regardless. And I think they're only doing that because of what they see from Jordan Mason. I think he gave them enough, hey, okay, you can do this for a few weeks to let CMC fully heal and not chance anything, needing him obviously later in the season for the playoff run that they'll more than likely have.
Exactly. That's 100% what it seems like to me because they have no. The same thing with. I heard something mentioned after the very first game of the season and the Chiefs and Travis Kelce. Everybody talking about the tight ends not being used. They know they're going to need Travis Kelce in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's not going to go out and exhaust himself week 1 of the season.
Right.
So I mean, this is something like you said they're doing because they have now obviously confidence in Mason, but there's no reason to risk someone like CMC,
right,
who's almost guaranteed a touchdown a game.
Right. I mean, he's the best offensive player in football when healthy and playing ball.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no questions about it. So yeah, shout out Jordan Mason, especially for my fantasy team and probably my bets this weekend. Have him on something going up against who are they playing this weekend? If I'm 49ers.
Is it the Vikings?
Maybe the Vikings. Yeah, probably. But yeah, okay. Anything else that we want to discuss? But for week 1 into week 2, we'll talk about the matchups here when we get into the betting side of things.
So we can talk some of our key matchups we got coming out, but we'll have a post out for that. So stay tuned to our Facebook.
Absolutely, super cool post and graphic for you guys to enjoy. Do you want to give out those key matchups now, or do you kind of want to wait to talk about matchups when we're breaking down?
Yeah, we can just kind of go over them through the money line.
Okay. All right, cool. Any other surprising things or anything you want to discuss? Anything on your mind you want to get off your mind?
I don't think so.
All right. I guess that can send us into some betting. So that'll bring it into, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to do a little money line breakdown for you guys for this weekend slate. And then we're going to talk some anytime touchdowns that we like. So super excited for that. We'll give out our 2 favorites each. All right. Let's get on to this. Let me check the baseball bets real quick. Nationals up 2-0 early over the Phillies. DJ Hurst has 2 of his 5 strikeouts in top of the segment.
Hey.
Love to see it. We cooking. Devin Neal's got 8 yards. Kansas got the ball first, so first touchdown score is very much in play. We cooking. All right, sorry. Let's get into what we came here for.
I didn't get the first touchdown one in, but I threw in the one also. I got through some unders.
Yup. Dang. Okay. All right, let's do it. Is your first game on your slate Saints and Cowboys too? Or is that just because they're my favorite team?
No, it's mine too.
Okay. All right, Saints Cowboys.
So 1 o'clock tip off to our Sunday game.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to start it early. This is a game I don't want to bet on when it comes to money line. I'm going to tell you why. A couple of reasons. Yes, the Cowboys looked fantastic. They looked good against the Browns, number 1 defense in football last year. They looked great. Dak Prescott didn't have the most statistical game, but they did their thing efficiently. But the Saints, I understand it's an overreaction. It's the Carolina Panthers. It's Bryce Young. I get it. They suck. They're not good. It's the worst team in football. I get it. But my good God, 47 points hung on them in the first game. Our offense looked absolutely tremendous. The QB debut was great. Derek Carr even mentioned before the game that we were going to see something new from the Saints offense, and that we did. That's the best football game I've seen Derek Carr play since he was 25 years old. He looked great. And I think if we can come out firing like we did last week, and our defense, who we know is the strong suit of our team, can put something together against the Cowboys, I can smell an upset. I'm not just saying that due to the Saints bias.
I mean, we saw a lot more emotion out of their offense than we're used to.
Ever.
A lot more easily getting the ball downfield.
We threw the first touchdown of the year on a 70-yard bomb to Rashid Shaheed.
Exactly.
When have you seen Derek Carr do that in the last 6 years?
Exactly.
He hasn't thrown the ball 50 yards down the field in 3 seasons.
Bring us to one we can be slightly more confident in.
Absolutely.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Detroit Lions game.
Right. Now, confidence, yes. Major confidence, no. I will take the Lions money line. I have no question in that. But after seeing Baker Mayfield in this offense last week,
he's still him.
This could be a lot closer than expected. I believe this could even be a game where the Buccaneers cover the 7.5 spread. I think it could be close. We've seen the Lions struggle a little bit with the Rams last week. Obviously, a game going into OT, them winning it with the first possession.
Yeah.
So this is a game I can see it not being this much of a spread of money line once we get going. I think minus 340 is crazy, but I'm okay with the Lions. Yeah. All right, that'll move us to Browns and Jags, and this is also another game I don't like. The Browns got whomped last week by the Cowboys. Deshaun Watson looked like trash.
Horrendous.
But the Jaguars lost a close one to the... Why am I brain farting? Who did they play last week? Oh, my goodness. No, Titans played the Bears.
Yeah.
I know every matchup at that one. They lost a close one. It was I don't know, regardless. But they looked okay. Brian Thomas looked good. But we know what the Browns defense is capable of. Maybe not the greatest showing.
Played the Dolphins.
Dolphins, absolutely right. And they barely won that.
20-17.
Yeah. They were leading for a majority of that game. But yeah, another game I just can't decide.
Absolutely, because we could finally see Cleveland's defense step up.
Yeah.
And, obviously no faith in Deshaun Watson, but you never know.
Yeah, for sure.
49ers and Minnesota Vikings.
Now listen, if you would have told me they won week 1 with CMC, but he's out this week, this game would scare me.
Yeah, 100%.
But to see what that offense did without CMC, obviously we just had a whole segment on Jordan Mason. There's no doubt in my mind that I'm going 49ers in this game.
Absolutely.
They looked great. Debo Samuel finally getting his involvement back from when he was a potential O-Poi. I mean, he looked good. So I'm okay with 49ers for sure.
Absolutely. Mid-segment here, let's remind everybody if they want to see our daily picks, obviously the UFC 306 also tomorrow night.
Absolutely.
And obviously football kicking off Sunday at 1 o'clock. If you want our daily picks, WINIBLE.com/Travis and Jon Show.
Absolutely.
Over at Winnable, we give out daily picks and VIP picks.
Go check it out. It's free. Chargers, Panthers, back at it. Chargers look better than I thought last week. I believe Jim Harbaugh has convinced me to start J.K. Dobbins in fantasy this week. And after obviously seeing what we did to the Panthers, I would never put my money on
the Panthers are absolutely the worst team in the league by far. Bryce Young clearly does not look like the answer right now.
Thank you. Been saying this since he was drafted.
And LA devoted everything in their power to the run game. Jim Harbaugh knew it worked in college.
J.K. Dobbins 8.
He knew that he can have the right system work in the NFL because nobody's doing it anymore. And especially as we talked right before the show, now everybody running 2 deep safeties opens up the run game a lot more because they're more used to the modern passing game, etc.
Right. Just quick mentions, we seen what he done with Blake Corum at Michigan. He was the best running back in college football. All 3-4 seasons he was there.
Yeah.
And we also, something I wanted to mention, I think this J.K. Dobbins thing is a little less surprising to my true football fans than it is to some of the newer guys. We know what J.K. Dobbins can be without these two horrific injuries he's dealt with the last few seasons. When Dobbins was healthy in Baltimore, he was the lead back, and he was fantastic. And to see him come out and look as good as he did week 1, and to hear what Aaron Rodgers said about this guy during their rehab processes last year with the Achilles and ACL tear, I think Dobbins can be due for a big year after seeing what Jim did with him week 1.
Yeah, 100%. And a revamped O-line.
Salvador Perez. All right, moves us to Ravens and Raiders. This is an easy Ravens minus 450 money line for a reason. It's Baltimore. Yes, they
Raiders
lost.
still don't have a true quarterback. Obviously, Gardner Minshew is a step over Aiden O'Connell, but when we're talking about competing in the NFL, the roster's not it.
Right.
And going against the Baltimore Ravens of all teams, an AFC championship team 1 season ago.
Now, I will say, I think the Las Vegas Raiders have a much better pass rush than the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Max Crosby might be the 3rd best pass rusher in football, and I think it could be a long night for Lamar. After seeing what the Chiefs did week 1 and what Chris Jones was able to do against those guys, it could be scary.
I'll say Chris Jones is really good and a good run stopper, but they didn't have the pass rush of Max Crosby.
And also, not to mention the acquisition from Miami this offseason in Christian Wilkins, who was one of the better inside pass rushers in all of football last year.
Yeah.
So it could be a long night for Lamar. I think this money line could be a little closer than maybe what the numbers depict, but I think it has a lot to do with the fact that the Raiders' offense is just not much to be excited about.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, Patriots Seahawks.
Poverty.
Now, this is another game I also do not want to bet on. I'm sorry. We can have different opinions if you want, if you would like to bet on this game, but this is a game where we've seen the Patriots do the unthinkable last week. It's the largest underdog of the slate and take out the Cincinnati Bengals. And we've seen the Seahawks, who looked okay against Denver, but let's keep in mind that had a lot to do with the guy in the backfield, Kenneth Walker III, who was, I believe, doubtful this week due to his knee injury. And with the loss of him, obviously we still have Charbonnet, but the loss of Kenneth Walker could slow down the offense a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely one I'm going to stay away from. Tied for the lowest over-under with the Panthers of all teams.
Yeah.
So definitely one I'm going to stay away from because, like you said, KW3 being out is a big pain for the Seahawks.
Absolutely.
That brings us to a very exciting matchup. It would be very much more exciting if Jordan Love was fully healthy. Unfortunately, he's not. Rehabbing, should be back within a few weeks.
Yeah.
Don't want to completely derail a promising-looking roster and team. But a matchup that looks now way more one-sided than before.
Absolutely. I think this is an easy Colts money line. I don't think that money line should be as close as it is when it comes to the lower numbers, but I'll take it. I just think without Jordan Love, the Packers' offense isn't going to do a whole lot. We've seen them struggle in the running game last week. I think Josh Jacobs had almost all of his yards, and midway through the third and fourth quarter. And if the running game cannot get going early, and having Malik Willis under center is just something you can't put trust in. I mean, we've seen what the Colts did last week, obviously coming off the L, but Anthony Richardson looked fantastic. Had one of the craziest throws I've ever seen, getting smacked in the face and falling on his back foot 60 yards down the field. I mean, for a touchdown, I think this is easy.
Yeah, the Colts look promising. Obviously, got a lot to prove after a very close Week 1 loss to another very hungry Houston Texans team of all teams. But over on the Packers side, we've still yet to see Malik Willis play starting football.
Yeah.
Rookie season, he had 200 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
A 42 QBR. And then in Tennessee, for his second season, 74 yards. That's it. And obviously now just getting started in Green Bay at one play, not completing a pass. Obviously a Hail Mary chuck at the end of the game.
Right.
He didn't get off, but we've yet to see Malik Willis, the starting quarterback. We don't know what the Packers are going to be without Jordan Love.
Absolutely.
So we know the Colts are very hungry and very talented.
For sure. So, all on the Colts, without a doubt. Bring us to Jets-Titans. I think I know where I like. But I do want to talk about Aaron Rodgers and the return in the New York Jets. Obviously, coming off the loss to San Francisco, kind of a one-sided game for the 49ers. But let's talk about a few things. The Jets offense didn't get much motion due to a lot of time of possession. The 49ers controlled that game. The defense got absolutely beat in from start to finish.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers looked good on the few drives that he was able to come out and do. Yes, he had the interception, but he also had a touchdown pass, moved the ball a lot more than they did last year, and got him into the red zone for a field goal. And for the few drives he was able to do something, he looked okay, but the defense is the biggest question. Can they get it together? If they can, the Jets could be okay, but the Week 1 showing they had is not promising.
Yeah, obviously it's a team that doesn't hurt to lose to in the 49ers.
Right.
A much more promising matchup against the Titans. Obviously, Will Levis looked to struggle in Week 1, throwing, I think, 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Against the Bears.
Pick 6, yeah.
Yeah, but I like to lean the Jets. Obviously, they got a really promising wide receiver core, and now with a quarterback to actually back that up, Hall of Fame resume quarterback, a lot to look forward to this season.
Yes, and I also do want to say, I saw Aaron Rodgers speak on the Pat McAfee show this past weekend after their matchup against the 49ers, and he talked so much about the fact that he wanted to get Garrett Wilson so many more targets. When we saw him getting Garrett Wilson the ball in the first drive of the game, they were moving, and they looked good, and that was the first scoring drive they had of the season, finished off by Breece Hall. But those two guys, Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, will, by the end of the season, have probably a majority, 80-85% of offensive snaps and touches when it's all said and done.
Oh, yeah.
Those are just two guys you can put a lot of stake in just due to the amount of opportunity they're going to have. So we go Jets. All right, Giants Commanders. I don't know.
Ugh.
I don't know. If I had to choose one way or the other, I'm going Jaden Daniels. We've seen him have a promising debut last week, scoring 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground, and I'm not 100% positive. I believe he may have 1 passing or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just the 2 rushing. But either way, better moving, promising offense than the Giants have, that's for sure. We've seen Malik Neighbors had a decent game, but he is playing, but was dealing with a knee injury, I heard, throughout the week. So, could be limited, but I don't know. This is a game that worries me.
100%. Definitely one I'll probably stray away from, just because we have no idea what either one of these teams are besides bad.
Absolutely. All right, that'll take us to Rams-Cardinals. Another game that's a little confusing to me. Yes, I know the Rams will be without Puka Nacua more than likely, but to be an underdog going up against division rival in Arizona, who looked horrible the second half of the game against Buffalo last week, is crazy to me.
And a Rams team who took the Lions to overtime.
Yeah, and looked good. They looked like not the Rams of old, but they moved.
Yeah.
We seen Cooper Kupp have a Cooper Cup type game with a lot of catches, a lot of yards, and a touchdown. And
Exactly.
Kyron Williams got in the end zone as he done a lot last year. I don't know, man. If my gut's telling me Rams, but I don't know.
Yeah, definitely one I'll probably stray away from. Big slate of Sunday games, and definitely a game that could go either way after a quarterback that says it's not his job to get the wide receiver the ball.
Yeah, literally. That'll bring us to Chiefs and Bengals. This is a game I don't think we need much discussion. I do want to say, though, as much and as bad of a week as the Bengals had week one, losing to the Patriots, if we look at statistics and we look at things from the past, Joe Burrow has absolutely had Kansas City's number. By far their kryptonite. They call it Burrowhead for a reason. And I think if they can come out and get it together, it could be closer than expected, just due to obviously what we seen last week. But it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I'm definitely here for it. I'd love a shootout. It's just hard to look forward to when we've seen the Cincy offense struggle, when we've seen the Cincy offense have, one touchdown against the Patriots?
Zach Moss.
Yeah. The one team that not score the first half of the game.
Against the Patriots.
Against the Patriots of all teams. Yeah. So, definitely a confusing offense. Things still struggling. Joe Burrow had videos of him messing with his hand and grabbing the bottle weird. So there's speculation in every direction.
Right.
But obviously, if things work out, we know their offense can be dangerous, and that's what we're all here for. So,
without a doubt.
So for an entertaining game, brings us to Steelers and Broncos. Justin Fields and Bo Nix.
I'd have to lean Steelers. We seen Bo Nix struggle last week against Seattle, throwing a couple interceptions, and it doesn't get any easier in Pittsburgh. T.J. Watt had a terrific decoy type performance last week.
That man was on one.
Yeah, and I think he'll get to Bo Nix multiple times this week. There's no doubt in my mind the Steelers come out with the W in this game.
I've never seen a more ferocious player on defense.
Yeah, dude's absolutely crazy. He should have had 2 sacks with the one taken away due to the penalty. But had a forced fumble still. Just fantastic.
No, the ref also told him at halftime that he had gotten a sack and it was a whiff call.
Crazy how that works. Huh?
Yeah.
All right, back to the laying. Texans, Bears. Steelers ones was easy. There's just not much to talk about when it comes
game
to
of the day, night.
Without a doubt. This is going to be
exciting one.
A fantastic primetime matchup. C.J. Stroud versus Caleb Williams. Obviously, Caleb Williams had a not disappointing, but lackluster debut last week. Barely I don't even think cracked 100 passing yards. But they came out with the dub nonetheless. You can't take that away from them. But
obviously, the defense was a big key there. Yeah. They played extremely well.
The second half of the game.
Yeah.
Played horrible.
Finally came alive. Yeah. But Caleb Williams did his job.
Yeah.
He fit and he looked good. He made plays when there were no plays to be made. He proved himself pretty well, obviously, for week one.
Yeah.
He didn't lose, and I don't believe he threw a pick, so.
I don't think so.
That's something to be had, obviously. But a game he may not win, but an exciting game nonetheless. Promising Texans, explosive team. The Bears are going to have to open it up against the Texans. So, I'm excited.
Yeah. But there's no doubt in my mind, you won't see me bet against C.J. Stroud at all this season. If I'm not betting on the Texans, I'm not betting against them. I'll tell you that much. So I'm riding Texans for sure, just due to the struggles we've seen week one. And we know what C.J. Stroud and that dynamic offense can do, especially with the huge debuts of Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs, who got in the end zone twice.
Yeah. May look easy.
Facts. All right, and that'll bring us to Monday Night Football to round out the slate. Eagles and Falcons. And on the money line, it's like this for a reason. The Falcons were horrible week one. Now, don't get me wrong. I think they'll figure it out. I don't think they'll be that bad the entire season. I think it was just due to all the new things going on in Atlanta. New head coach, new coordinators, new quarterback, new players, new defensive players. So many new defensive players. Guys like Justin Simmons and Matthew Judon and just a bunch of new things in Atlanta, and I think they'll get it figured out, but it's only week two. The Eagles looked good week one. We seen what Saquon Barkley did, was the best player in week one. 3 touchdowns, fantastic game. I'd have to ride Philly.
Absolutely.
All right. Any more opinions you want to say? Crazy. That's literally the one I built earlier. That's literally why it's in my save.
Crazy.
Crazy. The exact one. All right, but yeah, we can give you guys a quick rundown on that if we want to go back and forth before we get into anytime touchdown picks. I can start us off. We'll go Detroit Lions.
Mine disappeared. I gotta find it. There it goes. The San Francisco 49ers.
Los Angeles Chargers.
Baltimore Ravens.
Indianapolis Colts.
New York Jets.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Houston Texans.
And the Philadelphia Eagles to round out a beautiful 10 legs sitting at plus 3,155.
Absolutely. All right, now it's time to talk touchdowns. We'll give out our 2 favorite touchdown picks before we get into our next segment. Excuse me. All right, I'm taking a look here. I think I know who my 2 favorites are. I think we could even give out 3, each and be confident, but we can stick it 2 if you want to stick it 2. You want to start us off or you want me to start us off?
You can go ahead and start us off.
All right, I'm going to start in a game that I didn't want to start at just due to the matchup itself. But I'm going to the Cowboys and Saints game. And my first anytime touchdown on the slate is a guy who didn't score last week, but was involved and is going to have to be a huge part of the offense. Overdue already, not scoring in week 1. The wide receiver in Dallas, Mr. CeeDee Lamb, is my first favorite of the night. He's just such a dynamic guy. We've seen him run plays out of the backfield last week with these end arounds and plays he gets loose on. And obviously is the number 1 receiver in Dallas. Just got an absolute baggeth this offseason.
Yeah.
So CeeDee Lamb, my first pick.
All right, I'm going over to Las Vegas and Baltimore. Obviously, we saw him make it look easy against the Chiefs. The Raiders are another conversation to be had. I'm going Derrick Henry.
Absolutely.
He's sitting at minus 175. And, I mean, they seem to somewhat change their offense. Last season it was 85% Lamar running the ball, and, they changed their offense around. They didn't use Derrick Henry necessarily the way we prefer.
Right.
The first half of the game, obviously, but it's something to figure out. And, a game that could be as lopsided as this one opens up more room for Derrick Henry.
Without a doubt. All right, I love that. All right. I know I had a wide receiver in my first one. Also, real quick, what if we give out our 2 favorites and a long shot we like? Because I feel like there's so many options for touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. I'm with it.
Okay, we'll give out our 2 favorites and a long shot we like each. So it's 3 total for you guys each. All right, my second favorite of the night. I'm going back to the running back helm, where a lot of touchdowns have been scored so far this year through week 1. And I'm going with the guy we've mentioned multiple times tonight. A guy in a system where he's going to get his touches, got almost 30 of them last week, and got in the end zone. I'm going Jordan Mason, anytime touchdown.
Absolutely.
Get back in the end zone. Yeah, he looked fantastic last week, even got involved in the pass game somewhat. And going up against the Vikings defense, who obviously had a good showing last week, but keep in mind played the New York Giants. So I'm going Jordan Mason.
Absolutely. I'm going to go over and go to the Jets and Titans game.
Okay.
I'm going to rock Breece Hall.
I like it.
Obviously, he made it look easy in their struggling game against the Niners. But obviously, the Niners, of all teams, are a team that's expected to struggle against. They got an amazing defense. But Breece Hall is going to get his touches this season. We know what he's prepared to do this season, how highly he's talked of himself. And Tennessee doesn't have the same run defense that the 49ers had, and he got in the end zone. So I feel like he may get even 2 against the Titans.
Absolutely. I love it. All right. Now it's on to long shots. These are probably not going to be crazy long shots, but there's some more plus money picks on FanDuel. I'm going with my first plus money pick. And a guy that we've also mentioned a couple times. We talked about him during breakdowns. But I'm going back to Los Angeles, with the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. I'm going J.K. Dobbins in that plus 160 on FanDuel. Just a guy who we know is going to get his touches. Blake Corum scored in, I think, every game last year for Michigan. So if Jim Harbaugh is running sort of anything he did in college, obviously NFL is different than college, but some of the things you can retain. J.K. Dobbins is going to get his chances, and I trust him. All right, on to you, brother. Close us out before we get into some fantasy football.
I think my long shot is going to be Jaylen Warren.
Okay.
feel like the Steelers and Broncos game is going to be a pretty exciting game.
Okay.
Obviously, week 1 was strange. Nobody got in the end zone. Bunch of field goals to win the game.
Facts.
Crazy game. But everybody was rusty. Justin Fields starting his second game now. We saw some motion in the offense, which is completely new to any Steelers fan. Obviously, not enough motion to get in the end zone, but that was for both sides of the football. So, something to be had there. Obviously, Denver's struggling on both sides of their football as well. So, I think we can get things moving. And, I mean, I think Jalen Warren's the more explosive back.
Right.
So, I think with some of the plays we saw last week, if he gets one to break loose, he'll be the one in the end zone for the Steelers.
I like it. We love it. Beautiful things. So excited for football this weekend. Obviously, going to have many more anytime touchdown parlays placed. But those are just a few of our favorites for this week's slate. We'll have those posted on Winnable before the game starts Sunday. So keep an eye on that. WINIBLE.com/Travis Jon Show. All right, enough of the betting. I know we have a problem. We're addicted. We should probably call the hotline. But
it's not an addiction if you're making money, baby.
Facts. It's called work.
Do it with us. WINIBLE.com/Travis Jon Show. Daily picks, VIP picks for our subscribers. And with the NFL season, you're going to want to tune in.
Say that.
Got a bunch of primetime games we're not live for. So get over to Winnable. See our picks.
All right. That'll bring us to our final segment of the night. And it's going to be the return of our last season's awesome segment in the 1v1 Travis and Jon Show Fantasy Football Draft. Now, week 1 was a good one. We kind of learned a few things, and we're going to get back to the things this week. But first, we'll go over the winner of last week and give out some scores and talk about who gets the first pick tonight in our 1v1. All right. So I think we started out with your team almost every game last year, so we'll start out with my team. I'll give you a rundown for each player, what they scored in my team total. So my QB, Josh Allen, scored 31.18 points. I think he had 4 total touchdowns in that game against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
It was great. CMC, RB1, unfortunately, hurt, scored 0.
Yeah.
Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, 13.6. Justin Jefferson scored me 15.9. Sam Laporta scored me 8.5. Not the greatest game.
All the tight ends, though. I mean, he's still a top 5 tight end with 8.9. All the tight ends had a really
slow week.
Yeah, underwhelming week.
Yeah. My first flex, a guy I took a chance on, and it didn't pay off. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
1.4.
Yeah.
My super flex was Mr. Jalen Hurts. Scored me 16.42. Unfortunately, I let Saquon take every single touchdown from him. My defense, Vikings defense, was another bright spot I had this week, scoring 21 points going up against the New York Giants. And then closed it out. I forgot to put him up there at the other one. I messed up the order last week. That's why he's down here. My second halfback, it was Bijan Robinson. Scored me 16.1. For a total of 124.1 points on the week. Not too shabby, eh? All right, that'll bring us to you. Give you a rundown of your scores. QB CJ Stroud scored you 18.66. Travis Etienne Jr. scored you 11.9. Unfortunately, got his second touchdown of the night taken away due to a penalty.
Yeah.
Wide receiver Tyreek Hill scored you 26. Had a really good game. Jamar Chase didn't get in the end zone, but still scored you 12.2. George Kittle with 8. Nico Collins scored you 17.7. Dak Prescott, underwhelming, scored you an 11.46. Seahawks defense scored you 11. And your biggest player of the night, your MVP, your second running back, Saquon Barkley, scored you 33.2.
Yeah.
For a total of 150 points, .12. For the winner of week 1 and the number 1 pick in this week's draft, John.
Woo!
It's all right. I dominated this last year.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure last season I started off 1-0 and then 1-15, 16. So
yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, it's all good. Time to bounce back. I'm 0-1. That's okay. I perform well under pressure. So, a few things to keep in mind this week: no CMC, no Puka Nacua, and I believe that's the bigger guys that are rolled out, right?
Yeah, most of the bigger names.
Yeah. All right, but you start us off. Oh, also, no Tyreek Hill. Dolphins play Thursday Night Football. No Josh Allen. No James Cook. None of those guys. So number one pick gonna be a little interesting. But you start us off. Number one pick of this week's draft. We're doing QB, 2 halfbacks, 2 receivers, tight end, flex, super flex, defense, special teams.
Perfect. I'm going to start off with the first game on the slate and take my wide receiver. We talked about him being due. I'm going CeeDee Lamb. He's got to end up in the end zone. We saw the Saints put 47 on the Panthers, so, I mean, if they put any kind of offense, defense together and have the Cowboys with the ball in the air, CeeDee's due to get in the end zone.
Without a doubt. All right, CeeDee Lamb, your number one pick. Love to see it. Let me write that in here. All right. I'm so glad you did that because I'm going to go with my number one pick. I'm going to fill in my halfback spot. Unfortunately, not CMC this week. I'm going to go with the guy who I think has a big week this week, hopefully on Monday Night Football, I believe, and Mr. Bijan Robinson, my number one pick at running back. My guy, who I thought you were honestly going to take number one. I'm glad you didn't. Oh, Bijan.
No, I think I'm going to go ahead and fill my running back spot. I'm going to go a different game. I thought about running it back. I'm going to go to New York and Tennessee. And like I just talked earlier, I feel like Breece Hall has a big opportunity against Tennessee's front defense. And I think he gets in the end zone. I'm going Breece Hall for my running back one.
Okay. Good pick. It's a good pick. It's a good pick. I like it. All right. Let's see. Let me dig deep here. All right, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw it back a little bit. Do it for good old time's sake. Actually, yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to go with the guy who had a very big week last week. Do his team without their number 2, maybe number 1 target, Puka Nacua. I'm going Mr. Cooper Kupp at wide receiver 1.
Yeah, with no other option.
Yeah.
Made Puka look like he wasn't an option before the injury. So
yeah,
I know. I'm a fantasy owner.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Me too. But he was fantastic last week, no doubt about it. All right, you're up.
We talked about Lamar and how he may face this tough game, tough matchup on defense over in Las Vegas. Someone who could have a really good game and performance and a very good dual threat fantasy-wise. I'm going Anthony Richardson, my quarterback against the Packers.
Okay. I like that.
Someone we know that can put the ball easily in the air with his arm and can also run the ball.
I like that a lot. A-Rod at quarterback. All right. Puts me back on the board. All right. I'm going to go with my second running back. Wish I could go Devon Achane, who had a fantastic game. 29.5. But I'm going to go with another guy who helped you win last week and a guy that I think could have another big week this week. I'm going back to the realm with Mr. Saquon Barkley as my next pick at my running back too.
A little stack there. I like it.
Absolutely. Love to see it. I'm going to put you back on the clock.
Let's see. Who was I just thinking? I'm going to go ahead. No. I'm going to go ahead and take another running back.
Okay.
I'm going to go Derrick Henry.
Okay. I like it. Obviously, running back for the Baltimore Ravens. Got in last week, scored the first touchdown of the year. Had a really good game, though, yeah. All right, I like that. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to fill out my other wide receiver spot, and I'm going to go with a guy that, off a team you also picked, I'm going to go Mr. Garrett Wilson at wide receiver, too.
Beautiful pick.
I think after seeing Aaron Rodgers talk about how he wants to get him even more involved, and he didn't score last week.
He's going to come out and prove it.
Yeah.
He's due.
I think he's going to have a big game.
I definitely see that.
All right, brings you.
Go ahead and take another wide receiver. I think between 2. But I think I'm going to lean on the higher side of probability. Okay. I'm going to look for the Bengals breakout, high-scoring matchup. I'm going to go Jamar Chase.
Okay.
My next wide receiver, and hope it's a shootout in KC. I was thinking J. Jeff and put that out there. But yeah, the 49ers defense scares me.
Hey, you still got a flex and a super flex.
I know.
All right. I'm going to go get my QB. I'm probably going to stick in that same game as well. And I'm going to go with a guy who we weren't able to pick last week. I'm going to go Mr. Patrick Mahomes at QB going up against the Bengals. Always high-scoring games. And after seeing what he did with that wide receiver core last week, he's going to have a big game. All right, put you up.
I'm going to go ahead and take my super flex.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Mr. CJ Stroud, who was my quarterback last week. That was a good-looking matchup for a primetime game against the Bears this week.
Okay. Love to see it. All right. I'm going to go get my flex, not my super flex. And I'm going to take another halfback and a guy who I think is going to have another big week this week. Got a lot of stake in him. I'm going Jordan Mason.
I like that.
Flex spot, another running back. Beautiful. Brings you back.
I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to run a stack here.
Okay.
Take my my flex. And I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor.
Okay.
With AR, obviously, if they get the lead over the Packers and their new struggling offense, JT has a chance to have a ground game.
Without a doubt. Okay. I think I have to. After seeing the week he had last week, I don't think it's going to happen again. I'm going to get one of the better stacks in football when they're playing well together. I'm going to go tight end one. I'm going to take Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
absolutely
due for some point.
Yeah, I mean, let him get points together. I think he should have a good game this week.
Absolutely. I'm going to go the next best deal at tight end. I'm going Sam Laporta.
I thought about it. I had the stack with Mahomes. If I didn't have Mahomes, I probably would have took Laporta. It's okay. All right. That brings me back on the clock. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go super flex. I'm going to go with another guy who had a big week last week. We also couldn't draft. Actually played against my starting quarterback, and I'm going to go Mr. Lamar Jackson in my super flex. I think with the rushing aspect that he had last week, had over 120 yards on the ground. I think if he has to do that again this week due to the pass rush of the Las Vegas Raiders, it could be big for a fantasy game.
Oh, 100%. What do I have left?
We both just have defense.
Okay.
It's our last picks.
This is a hard one.
Absolutely.
I think I'm going to stick to my gut. I'm going to go ahead and just run the Steelers on this one.
Okay.
I feel like they got a chance to have a good game. Obviously, a really good game against the Falcons, basically shutting out an explosive offense. But we know what T.J. Watt and Minka and them boys can do, Alex Highsmith and crew.
Absolutely.
The Steelers defense.
Without a doubt. All right, I don't hate that at all. I'm between two. I think I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens as my starting defense. It was between the Ravens and the 49ers.
Absolutely.
But I think Las Vegas has a much worse offense than Minnesota did last week. Sam Darnold looked really good.
Oh, yeah.
Surprisingly. And obviously we know they're without Jordan Addison, but still guys like Jay Jettas and Aaron Jones and guys like that.
Crack open, yeah.
That scares me a tad bit. So we're going to go Ravens, who obviously the Las Vegas offense outside of Devontae Adams isn't.
We honestly should have just gone the Chargers. The Panthers' offense.
I thought about it.
The most stale offense in the league.
Chargers' defense isn't the greatest.
I'm about to just stream whoever plays the Panthers in fantasy as my defense all season.
Facts. Hey, told you I was starting JK this week. In the paid league, too. JK about to have a big game. My paid league team kind of nice. Josh Allen and Tyreek Hill kind of screwed me. But
your depth is nice. You need to make a trade with me. Stale. Best friends. We have a whole show together. I haven't even made a trade with me. You guys believe that?
Hold on. We got like a couple minutes before I want to get off here and watch SmackDown. So let's talk for a second.
We need to talk our fantasy league because we got some fantasy people that may be tuned in here.
Let's make a trade. Let's do a trade online. Let's talk. Let's discuss. What do you want to get rid of? What do you want?
Oh,
gosh. What do you need? Obviously, Pacheco's nice.
I need a running back.
You need a running back?
I'd like to move on from Montgomery if possible.
Well, I need something for
Or a flex. But you're also having the same running back issue.
Yeah, Swift. I'm not. JK obviously can't trade Cook. Dobbins is going nowhere. The Mets just hit a 3-run homer, so that's beautiful to see for our money line. Oh my good God! How much are the Mets down, real quick? Is it 3? What are they playing? Phillies. Yeah, the Phillies are down 3. That's cool.
Yeah.
I got Cooper. I'd get rid of. I'd get rid of Christian Watson.
Trade I sent you the other day, O'Doons and Montgomery for James Cook?
No, I can't trade Cook. He didn't play.
Oh, yeah.
O'Doons and Montgomery. What would you get for a package of like Swift and Cooper?
Ooh.
What I like. Take Puka off you. Who knows what he gonna be?
Where?
Give me Puka. You just don't have good running backs outside of Pacheco. Give me Puka and Monty for Coop and Swift and Christian Watson. Then you give me.
What about Devontae Smith and DeAndre Swift for Pacheco and Puka? Maybe.
You're talking to me now. Say that again. Swift and Devontae.
Devontae Smith and DeAndre Swift.
Okay.
For Pacheco and Puka.
Okay.
That's about as even as they come.
Okay, I like that. I do like that. You talking to me nice right now. I do like Devontae though. He did have a big game.
Yeah, obviously my wide receiver, my running back is really what would be getting weaker, but Swift's got a chance to have a role. He had one bust week, but he's got a chance.
You can give me Pacheco and Puka.
Obviously, Pacheco is a lock. Hold on, let me see. I could throw in like maybe an Eric Wilson, just so you got that like
Eric Wilson.
I don't know, a couple weak depth.
Nah, because then I'd have to cut somebody. Or I guess I could, or I could look at free agency. I guess I don't have that Puka roster spot.
Yeah, I picked up Eric Wilson. I obviously have Jalen Warren. O'Doons I'd prefer to keep long term if they have significant roles. I did pick up Tyler Johnson, who had a big breakout game with Puka injured. Also.
Hey, I want to look at what the things say about it. I'm gonna go to the propose and see what the like descriptions or whatever say. At the end of the trade. So Smith and Swift. I don't think we'd even be able to have this done by this week, though. Wow, that's literally about as even as it gets.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Puka's great, dropped a lot just due to the time he's going to miss, but he essentially is right around the same mark as Devontae. Or might be, I don't know. His position ranks at 50.
Hold on, where'd he go? There we go.
Yeah, so the Puka injury is the only thing hurting the odds on this trade. All right, we gotta hurry up this though, because I want to get SmackDown on here. 8 minutes. I'm gonna submit it.
Team Travis proposed me a trade.
What? Well, there it is. On your computer. Okay. Interesting. What's your thing saying?
On here it's saying I shouldn't.
You shouldn't?
Yeah, but I don't know if I believe it.
You shouldn't.
Saying I shouldn't make the trade.
That's crazy.
Saying that I'm giving up my most valuable asset in Puka Nacua.
Wait, no way.
Maybe it's not registered. I mean, it has his injured thing, but we just saw what Cooper Kupp did with Puka.
Yeah,
Puka's still in the game.
Yeah, no, that's
before
facts.
the injury. I mean,
I think you're getting the better value in Devontae, even though he splits catches with A.J. Brown. But I think I'm obviously getting the better spot for running back, like Pacheco over Swift.
You said you wanted to also slide me Chase Brown?
Okay. You gonna slide me O'Dunes?
Isaiah Pacheco and Puka Nacua for Devontae Smith and Yonders. I also want to announce something.
You offered that to me.
No, I know. This dude told me my trade was trash in this league, so I'm about to oust him here on the show. Let me see if I can find it. I tried to trade him Jacoby Myers and Pat Fryermuth for Tony Pollard because let me go find his squad. He is running. He's running Taysom Hill, tight end.
Yeah.
So I tried to make that trade, obviously, Fryermuth.
Yeah.
And Jacoby Myers, who had a big game.
For who?
For Tony Pollard, who's on his bench.
Oh,
not even playing.
Great,
yeah. And he told me my trade was trash. So that I added no value to him, etc. My trade, I said my trades with an S are trash. So, Jorge Soler. So I just want to announce right now that when I beat him in this league, let me know how you feel about them trades.
Talk your smack. Yeah.
Want to know, by the way.
All right. We got to get ready to wrap this up. I'm about to go watch some wrestling.
Absolutely. And tomorrow, we got some real wrestling.
Absolutely.
So,
throw the bag on Sugar Sean.
If you want to know what we're doing and who we're betting on, besides
Sean,
the Sugar Show,
Sugar Sean,
check out Winnable.
That's all I'm betting on.
WINNIBLE.
I'm not tuning in until midnight. I'm only watching
.com/Travis Jon Show.
On Sean.
Check out our NFL picks, our UFC picks,
Sean.
NBA when it's back, MLB
is the greatest
daily picks,
bantamweight champion
we got a VIP
of all time.
Check it out.
Sugar Sean. All right. We hope you guys enjoyed. It was another fantastic Friday night hanging out with the people we love the most. We hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll be back next Friday, 6:10 p.m. Eastern Time. You know how we do around here. We'll be back nonetheless. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for all the support. Go check out our link tree in our bio. And we'll see you next week.
As always,
it's been the Travis and Jon Show.
Live
on Facebook Live. Peace out, y'all.
We'll see you next week on the 20th. Happy Friday the 13th.
Absolutely. Spooky season is upon us.